Hey, HR friends, welcome back. So we did it. We made it through the transition. We're going into the 3-2 emotional 6.5 day sequence, and this is day one. Now you can see we got day one here outlined in the little white rectangle, and this is the entire sequence that we're about to go through. Okay. So every time we switch between a 3-1 to the 3-2 and into the 3-3 and the 3-4, so when we switch between these emotional awarenesses, what's happening is we're switching the perspective in which we have to start to really focus our choices around. So we've talked about this in previous posts, but I'm going to review it again today. So when we get into the 3-2, the second number, the number that's behind the dash, tells you if it's first or third person that we should be working on and refining. If it's an odd number behind the dash, it's first person. If it's an even number behind the dash, it's third person. So we just switched from the 3-1, which was a first person, into the 3-2, which is a third person awareness. That just means that you have to start to think during this next 6.5 day sequence at the larger level, at the societal level, versus if it was in the first person, what you're going to do in your immediate sphere. That's what that would mean. Now, when we switch between these awarenesses, when we switch between the 3-1 and into the 3-2, or whatever the awareness switch we're taking, there's always going to be a ton of polarity that's happening. Why? Because the capital E or macro E frequency is in polarity points. That's what's holding this up right here. Okay. So for people that have emotional instabilities, or maybe they have some mental rhythms where they've got conditions where they've got like bipolar condition, these are really going to affect individuals that are already struggling. Why? Because when these polarity points happen, they're going to cause an increased agitation. And unfortunately, we've got a mental health care crisis going on, not only in the United States, but around the world. Okay. So that's why it's so important to know this. So during these transitions, you really have to be patient with the people around you. And you really have to just, look past what's going on in the larger levels because otherwise it's going to irritate you. And it's designed to irritate you. Remember, these polarity points are trying to get under your skin. They are irritating you and agitating you from the inside out. We can't avoid these. This is the unseen pattern of chaos. This is the pattern that's amplifying all of the stress in our lives, all of the stress in our society, and it's actually what's creating the weather events. You see, we're connected to Mother Nature. I'm going to try to explain this in a really easy way today. So I think everybody knows that the earth has a natural rhythm, right? And how we're connected to that natural rhythm is different for all of us, but we're all connected to it. Meaning, we're in this all together. We're with the earth, and earth is with us. That's why when we act out, well, we're going to see that reflection in the patterns of the earth and the patterns of the weather and the natural disasters that are happening. We just didn't realize how space time worked. That was the only problem. Now that we do, you can see why Health Reconnected is so laser focused on getting this out to everybody. Because if we don't have everybody starting to calm down, then these weather patterns and these cyclical events that are happening, they're not going to calm down. We have the ability to do this, but that comes with our willpower and our conscious choice. Okay. Now, a lot of people I've had this conversation with said, well, I've got conscious choice. Yeah, it's true, we do. But if you don't know about this unseen pattern of chaos, it is manipulating your choice. It's really not conscious at that point because that's how we're making these predictions. Pay attention here for the next 24 hours, even into the next 48 hours. You are going to see weather events and social events around the world elevate again, and we are broadcasting this before it happens. We're going to know that halfway through this sequence, it's going to calm down again a little bit, but you can see we've got some bumps here. So this right here, compared to what we just did in the solstice, after the solstice, I should say, in the beginning of the 3-1, this is way easier. Now, what's the problem though? We still have a lot of negativity and a lot of stress and a lot of chaos and a lot of damage that's lingering from the 3-1. We got to let that go. We got to focus on how do we make this better, and we got to focus on coming together as individuals to make solutions. Now, you can see elevation, elevation, and in the second half of today, elevation. First person, third person combined. 4 is where we see it, and we're at a 4 or above a 4 this whole 24-hour period. This is the most important part. If we wanna make this better, we gotta make it better from the inside out, meaning we have to handle our emotions, We have to handle our defensive reactions, we have to diffuse them, and we have to work together in a cooperative fashion. Okay, that's enough about that. All right, so we're gonna get down here to objective, and you can see this whole 6.5 day sequence, pretty much all of the quadrants are gonna be tested pretty equally. Now, in this first 24-hour period, the right upper quadrant's gonna lay down just a little bit, but then it's gonna bounce right back up again. Now, I'd like to focus on all of this stuff, and we will in just a minute when we get down to the 24-hour graph, but we gotta do our review, okay? So, we're all part of the same mathematical family. I say this every post. We are expected to get along with every member of this family, and this family doesn't stop at bloodlines. It doesn't, it's everybody. It's your coworkers, it's the people you meet in society. And here's the kicker. This is the one we didn't realize. We need to be talking to our interconnected family about how do we not only get along, but how do we all take equal responsibility and invest equal time in the four larger perspectives that make a society balanced and equal. Now, it's obvious. I say this every time. We've been overinvesting in individual and family perspectives. How do I know? Because that's why we're all divided and fighting each other. And that's why the world and national perspectives are so out of balance. That's why weather disruptions are here. That's why social conflict is rising. So now you know. FaceTime math, this is the only reason we exist. We got to get along together, no matter who you're around. And then we got to support each other, not only in coming to conclusions and getting back into cooperative, mutually beneficial relationship, but that has to be founded in the idea that we're talking and balancing these four perspectives. And if we do that, instead of taking damage, because these frequencies govern us, okay? They govern our choices. Our choices as an individual is out of balance with these frequencies, well, then the quadrants of our body are going to take damage. It's going to accelerate aging and it's going to cause your future states of disease. It is that simple, okay? So we obviously, as an interconnected family, we have to start working together. And when we do that, we can not only heal our individual selves, but we can start to limit the catastrophes and the disasters, minimize them, and we can get our environment back in a place where it's a lot healthier than it currently is. But that's not happening until we decide to become balanced and we decide to become healthier as individuals. All right. Let's move on down here. We're going to talk about the 24-hour now, okay? So the 24-hour, this is just the zoomed in portion, this whole section right here. And we've also synchronized it with all 24 time zones. And this is for people that don't have good internet. So you'd watch this where you have internet, you'd find your time zone offset. We do this every time. I'm in Eastern time zone. So this is going to switch out to -4 here in just a second. And when it switches to -4, you're going to see all of these times are going to shift. And once they've shifted and it says -4, then this is where I would screenshot this while I have internet. And boom, now I know where every single peak is going to be. And I don't have to worry and say, well, when do I need to be on high alert? Now I know. All right, so we've made this easy, and I talk about this all the time, so we're just gonna navigate to it, okay? So here's the home page, here's the live feed I'm talking about. It's as easy as clicking this, and you can see I'm doing this video just as the awarenesses are about to flip here, okay? So we're getting to the end of the 12-hour sequence that we just did, and when this flips, it's gonna start over here again, you'll see. But now, all I'm showing you is this. This status bar is telling you exactly where we are. No mystery. So at any point in the day, you get in an argument or someone cuts you off or someone gives you the finger while you're driving or whatever the situation is, before you react, you want to open up this, you set this to your phone, use this as a watch. This is probably the most important thing that you reference throughout your day to make sure that you're staying as calm as possible because this is going to help you reset. As soon as that agitation it comes underneath your skin and you open this up and say, "Oh my gosh, no wonder I'm agitated. Look at this." Take a deep breath, move on. All right, so let's get back there. Now, we also changed this. This is what you when you come to our homepage, you want to see the 24-hour electromagnetic forecast, this big blue button. Boom, right back to where we were, okay? All right, so that's cool. Now you know if you don't have internet, take a shot of this. If you do have internet, use the live feed on our homepage. All right, let's talk about the alignments here now. We're going to shift gears. There are a lot of alignments, and we'll just look at the colors first. Orange, red, red, orange, 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 red, red. Okay, so all the alignments today, or the majority of the alignments today, are going to affect lower quadrants. Now, alignments, super easy for me to explain. Our existence is made possible by frequency. This is when frequencies align. So two hands of the clock, so it'd be like the minute and the hour hand of a clock aligning. When they align, their frequencies align and it amplifies them. And this just creates a moment in time. So these are moments in time. And you can see we've even shown you how long the moment's going to last. They're gonna last anywhere from an hour and a half today up to 3.25 hours today. So, in those time periods, it's very likely that you're gonna feel those quadrants of the body that are connected to these alignments. And what we're doing here is we're just making it easy for you to confirm that what we're sharing with you is true, and that if your routines are unbalanced, that you'll hurt or something unfortunate is gonna happen during these alignments. That's how it works. Because when two frequencies interact, it's either gonna be a constructive interaction, that means you're in balance with it. If you're in balance with it, this is when you're gonna hit every green light and you're gonna go, "Wow, this is amazing." Or this is gonna be when things fall in place for you that you just didn't expect. Now, if you're out of alignment with things, this is when your body's gonna hurt and your day's gonna go sideways. That's how you know if you're in or out of balance with these frequencies. All right, so let's talk about this first one here. It's the EE, it's an hour and a half alignment, it's on the space side, it's gonna test lower quadrants of the body. If you have any problems during this time, you'd want to document that. We can help you with that. Use our technology on the site, and it will tell you specifically what the issues are. All right. We're going to keep moving here. Next one we're going to talk about is this MP. This guy right here, 3 hour alignment, same thing, going to the lower quadrants of the body. Now, this M frequency is pretty strong. That's a 7.5 day frequency. This capital P or macro frequency, this is 12 hours long. So during this alignment, expect to feel it more on the right hand side, but it could be on either side. Okay. Same thing, document if you feel anything. These have to do with different relationships. All right. All right, next one we're gonna do here is gonna be the ME, and we're gonna do the time one first, this purple one, it's a little bit larger. So here's the ME right here. This is 3.25 hours. This M is a year frequency. This E is a 3.5 hour frequency. Super strong alignment here, okay? I really expect that people are gonna feel something down in the lower right quadrant if they're having any issues with the social perspective that's tied to this third person perspective, okay? Again, for right now, we're just getting you to document this and confirm that this is when your body hurts. If it does, direct hit, you need our help. All right. The next one we're going to talk about here is the ME, this little blue one that's right on top of it. So these are going to happen simultaneously on top of each other. This one's going to start a little bit sooner. This one's going to happen right in the middle of it, and this one's going to end out. Now, this is going to complicate things because it's really going to stress these lower quadrants. So it could be either side. You know what I'm saying here? It's going to start out feeling on the right, then the left's going to ramp up with it if you're out of balance with both. They could potentially both be a problem. So this is going to be digestion, urinary bladder, sexual dysfunction, any kind of musculoskeletal pain in these lower quadrants of the body. And I'm saying this because these alignments here are strong and this alignment's strong. And look at there is overlap here on top of it, right? So we just talked about this MP. This MP is doing the same thing. So this section for people that have lower quadrant problems, you are really going to notice this if you're out of balance. Ain't no doubt about that. Body's gonna hurt. You're gonna see the inner systems of your body aren't functioning properly, and very, very likely that you're gonna have unpleasant or unfortunate things happening in your day-to-day experiences. These are the days like you're like, "What the heck is going on? I just wanna get through today." Well, if you want these days to get better, you gotta document this, and we gotta show you what needs to happen going forward in the future. You have the ability, you have the conscious choice. It's just gonna take your willpower to overcome whatever routine you've got right now that's out of balance, and willpower to overcome all the defensive reactions that have helped you set up that unbalanced routine. All right. Last one we're going to talk about here is this PE. It's down here in the bottom. It's a 2.5 hour alignment. This one isn't so strong, but I always stress that these green and yellow ones, people are going to feel why. Because, well, first of all, this is third person because it's in the time side. And this is asking to see that you have a balanced routine and that you're not only thinking about, but acting on routines that are going to make our nation and our world more balanced. Well, look at our world and our nations right now. Most people aren't doing this. Most people's routines aren't doing this. We're arguing about it. We watch it on the news, but that doesn't mean we're doing anything. We elect people we think are going to do something for us. That's not how this works. We need to act. We don't elect people to act for us. Now, do we need people to lead? Yeah, that's what an elected official is. They're a leader. They can't lead if we're not willing to change anything. We want them to fix all our problems, but the truth is, we are the ones that created our problems by not having balanced routines. just so you know. Okay, so expect, even though this one's a little bit weaker, I wouldn't be surprised during these time frames if people have concentration problems, sinus issues, anything to do with this upper quadrant stuff. I mean, this is important stuff. Lungs, heart, brain, come on. This should be a priority because without those things, life really is unpleasant. Okay. All right. So that's enough with the alignments here. Now we're going to look at macro position. So it's kind of important that we're looking at macro position today because we had a lot of macro movement, right? So when these E frequencies move, they've moved to different parts of the body. And you can see here, let's just count them: one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. So we've got 8 stacked up on the left. Now, if you were here for the last post that was on the 12 hours, that was the end of the 3-1, we had a majority of them stacked up on the right. Now it just flip-flopped, and now they're all stacked on the left. And you can see here in the 24 hours, this right upper quadrant, look, it's empty. There's no macros up here. Does that mean you're not going to have any issues? Well, it's possible, but not mathematically probable. The mathematical probable area right now is going to be the upper left quadrant. It's going to be the lower left quadrant, and you're going to even experience stuff on the lower right quadrant. Now, look, there's only 1, 2 in the lower right quadrant. Why do I still say you're going to have problems down here? Because strongest frequency is the capital M, second strongest frequency is the small letter m, okay? So that just lets you know that even though there's not so much parked here because these are so strong, expect both lower left, lower right, and upper left. Those are the predictions. If I was in practice, I would expect to see those pain patterns in my patients, and I would definitely see the muscles in those areas tensing up and patients complaining about the systems of function, the organ systems that exist in those quadrants, giving them some hassle. All right, let's keep moving here. Now, here we have it. We've got the electromagnetic guide for the entire summer season. Here's the 3-1. In just a second, this thing's going to switch into 3-2. So you can actually see, look at, this is where we were last night, boom. And now this is where we are. So we're going to peak here for just a second. You see those peaks? Now, this is something we really got to pay attention to. And again, this gives you the ability to look forward in the future. Look, here's the next 6.5 day sequence. You can look at the entire summer season. If you've got plans, you want to know where these peaks are because these peaks affect us, especially when we start to congregate in larger groups of people. The larger the group of people that's together and the higher these peaks, the more likely defensive reactions are going to happen and we're going to have trouble. Now, we didn't just do it for summer, we did it for the fall season too. You don't have to worry when you go out in society. Now you just have to be aware and you have to make conscious choices that revolve around your understanding of how space-time math works and what the objective is. It is that simple. All right, let's keep moving here. Still, haven't changed this out. And I'm going to say this again. The news conclusion to this story right here was that this was a random act of violence. You watch this video, you're going to see that this happened on polarity points, some of the strongest ones during that sequence, not random. This is the organized pattern of chaos. And when someone says it was a random act of violence, what that really does is confirms that there is a chaotic pattern and we just didn't know about it quite yet. Now, you can check out our electromagnetic confirmation library. It's got all of our post videos. There it is right there. And the other thing I want to show you today is not only do we post this for you, but we've taken this a step further. Okay. I'm going to resize this for just a second. Now, I've actually created our embedded tool. So where you want to go to get to this is on the Health Reconnected homepage. You just click on the HRT tool, and this is going to take a minute for this to load. Why? Because it's a huge, huge file that does this. Now, what this does is we've just given you the ability to look up your own electromagnetics. So let's just say you got into an argument with your partner. And all you need to do is you just need to put the time that that argument happened. Now, the way this is this is going to open up to the day and the time, but you got to make sure you got the right time zone. Okay. So this is set right now to the Eastern time zone. Okay. But if you're not in Eastern time zone, you have to change this. To change it, you literally just click here. There's a little drop down menu, and that's how you would change that out. Okay. Now, we're not going to change it. Now, what this has done, and you can see, you don't see a status bar here right now. It looks like it's not there, but it's because it just started. Okay. It's right against the edge here because we just literally switched the awarenesses. That's when I do these posts, is right when these awarenesses are happening. Now, all you got to do is punch in that time, make sure you've got the time that you had your little spat or your little argument with your person. So let's just say it happened at 11 a.m. today. So you put 11 with a little A at the end, you click here, and then watch. We're gonna have to give this a minute. This is computing in the cloud. You can see it's already starting. Look, they're all coming over. There it is. So if you had your little spat at 11 a.m., you could come in here and go, oh, yeah, there it is. It's third person. And guess what? We were fighting about our religious beliefs, or we were fighting over and having a discussion over who's going to win the debate tonight. This is silliness, people. We've made this so simple. We've made confirmation so simple. Now, when something bad happens to you, you can cross reference this chart and see if it happened during an alignment or if it happened during a polarity moment. Again, can't make it much simpler than that. All right, let's end here, and we're going to end back on the homepage, okay? And the homepage, again, I'm saying this one last time. Make this part of your daily routine. Checking this. This is giving you a live feed, okay? So when you go to the HRT tool page, that's if something happened during the day and you want to go back and see what tripped you up because you weren't paying attention to this. Otherwise, I've been in conversations with people where I start to see them get defensive. I say, hey, give me a minute. I open this up, I take a look at it. Sometimes I show them, sometimes I'm just like, you know what, let's talk about this in about an hour. I can look at when this is coming down. All right. That's how we're ending this one. Super cool stuff. Everything we've built for you is to empower you, and we've got a step-by-step process that explains how this all works and teaches you how to use this and how to use the HRT tool. All right, that's it. Oh, and since we're plugging everything here, here's the blog. Here's our vlog library. Once you start to understand how our technology works, harness the power of your rhythm. We tell you how to use the advanced features to even know more about where you're going to hurt and when polarity moments are going to affect specific people in your life. Okay, I think that's enough now. We've done enough here. Talk to you soon.